We're in a space where the life cycle of a product is 6 months. This is the world I live in. This is the world I'm talking to my clients about. How do we scale? How do we innovate? How do we achieve change when things are evolving at lightning speed? Rupert Murdoch, the media magnate, I mean, he observed it perfectly. The world is changing very fast. It's changing so fast. There's so many things going on from so many different perspectives that the reality going forward at this point in time, it isn't necessarily the big organizations who will own and win and control the future. It is the fast. It's the agile. It's those who can change. It's those who can keep up with very rapid change and ingest that change. The high-velocity economy demands that we do, demands that we think, demands that we collaborate, demands that we share, demands that we innovate in different ways. It demands that we look at the future and constantly ask ourselves, given the rapid rate of change which is coming at us, how do we ingest that future? So the big question for you and what you need to think about over the next 3 days, how do innovators stay out in front? How do you stay ahead of very fast-paced change? I want you to think about the concept of business velocity. Business velocity. You know, I spent some time with a company in the video game industry, and they were talking about business velocity in their industry. The video game industry is a very fast, very high-velocity industry. You know, the fellow was indicating when a typical video game comes out, some 45 to 70% of the total profit made in that video game occurs in the first 4 to 5 days of sale. Think about that. That's a very high-velocity industry. You know, and the customer is engaged in a different way, the customer is marketed to in a different way, but increasingly, the customer is driven by very high rates of velocity. A lot of the organizations I spend time to, we focus on the issue of how do we innovate in a high-velocity economy? How do we accomplish that? What do we do? How do we transition quickly in terms of what we're producing, in terms of what we're marketing, in terms of what we're taking to the customer? I was in New York City in September with the Reader's Digest Food and Entertainment Group, the publishers of Every Day with Rachel Ray. We had packaging companies, we had food companies, we had Madison Avenue advertising companies. And the entire focus of our time together was how do we innovate in a high-velocity economy? And we had food organizations who were sitting there and saying, you know, this is different in terms of what we could do 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we were slow, we were ponderous, we didn't respond quickly to a change in economic circumstances. What we need to do now was the focus of their conversation. What we need to do now is we need to make sure, you know, that we're changing our branding, we're changing our marketing, we're coming out with new products which are going to appeal to the likely reality that consumers are going to spend more time at home. That they will be spending more time at home and spending less time perhaps in restaurants. We're going to reformulate our message. We're going to reformulate our brand. We're going to come out with new products which are comfort-driven, because during a recessionary time, people are seeking comfort. The entire focus of that industry conference was how do we innovate faster? High-velocity change. Learn. In every single organization, there are people who wake up every single day. The very first thought that comes to their mind is, what am I going to do today to kill new ideas? Seriously, this is what they do. Seriously, this is what they do. And you know they're out there. You know they do this because they come into your meetings and you're presenting new ideas, you're presenting new concepts and new ways of doing things, and they've got all these little code words that they use to shut ideas down. What are those code words? What are those phrases? How many times do you go into a meeting and you hear somebody say, well, you can't do that because we've always done it this way? How many times do you hear that? Never mind that the world is going to change, the world is going to go over there really, really fast, and we're here and we have to do things to get over there with the rest of the world. But there are people out there who adopt the attitude of, you can't do that, we've always done it this way. It won't work. You come up with a really good idea, you put it out there, you seek some reaction, and there is a naysayer at the table who immediately says, it won't work. Dumbest idea I ever heard, it won't work. It's too risky. We're not an organization that takes risks. The only way to get ahead is to take risks. Somebody comes up and says, well, you know, why can't we just keep doing what we've been doing all along? You're going to vanish. Each of you from this point on agrees that you will never use or permit to be used in one of your meetings that phrase, you can't do this because we've always done it this way. You're going to completely ban that phrase, it won't work, dumbest idea I ever heard. You're going to banish the type of thinking that tries to hold us back from doing new things. Organizations are re-engaging with the new consumer. You think about, the trends which are occurring out there right now today. There are 147 million people who interact globally through social networking sites. Given current rates of growth, we can expect this to probably be about 1 billion people, 1 in 4 people on the planet, within but 5 years. Interacting through the devices, which are increasingly a part of their digital lifestyle. Brands are thinking about, how do we re-engage? How do we engage with the consumer in new and different ways? And what one organization is doing is, they have a pizza. You order the pizza. And when the pizza is prepared, the pizza box has embedded in it an RFID tag that links into GPS, and you can watch on the website as to when the darn pizza is going to show up. You can watch on a map overlay and watch it come through the streets of New York City as it's about to be delivered at your door. And when I was with the Everyday with Rachel Ray folks, one of the key organizers who was there was laughing when I put this slide up because her boyfriend had done this exact thing the day before. And about 30 seconds before the doorbell rang, he said, the doorbell's going to ring. People are engaging with brands in new and unique ways. Think about, one of the most significant trends which is going to impact you in the future. Your cell phone, your BlackBerry, your iPhone is about to become the credit card infrastructure of the future. And what innovative brands are doing is they're thinking about, how do we re-engage with this customer? How do we do some sales uplift? How do we do something, we fly a banner over a football stadium from a plane, suggesting to people if they text a message to a certain text message number, we will send them a coupon for 50% off an item that they can try in our restaurant. Organizations are realizing there is a very significant change underway, and that to a huge degree, interactivity is the new brand foundation. It's the new opportunity for revenue uplift if we reach out to this new consumer in new and different ways. You think about all the social networks out there. You think about the new world we find ourselves in. And you think about some of the unique things you've seen in the news as of late with what we might call social networking terrorism on brands. Increasingly, what people are realizing is that, a brand isn't what you say it is anymore. It's what they say it is. And when you've got 1 billion people who are interacting in new and unique ways, you've got to make sure that you keep the brand fresh so that what they say the brand is what you're hoping they say it is.